My name is Allison Steele, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm originally from Jackson County, Ohio, and I am part of Two Steel Girls.
Why did you feel a need to move to Nashville?
Let me think about this one. We moved to Nashville because have been a musician and a singer basically most of my life, and everyone always, I guess, dreams of Nashville and wants to be here. I actually got hired at a church. I was a full-time worship minister since age 17, and just had applied at several churches, and one near Nashville called me, and we came here to audition, and of course my heart went crazy. First time I'd ever been in Tennessee, first time ever in Nashville, and I just immediately fell in love. There's always songwriters playing somewhere, always music going on somewhere, and it was just, I felt like I was at home.
What was the first thing you did when you got to Nashville?
What was the first thing I did? Bought a home. That was a mistake. The first thing I did when we got to Nashville was buy a home. As a musician, that was a mistake because you don't realize that you think, I guess when you move to Nashville, you think prosperity. I'm a songwriter. This is where I need to be, and I'm going to make lots of money. Well, be prepared to suffer and struggle because that's what it's about, really. This is a big pond with a whole lot of songwriting fish in it, I guess, and entertainers in it. And it's an amazing, inspiring place to be. But because there's so many of us and it's oversaturated, it's very hard here financially.
Did you have a plan when you got here as far as your music went?
I did not have a plan when we got here musically for any of that. I just kind of winged it. Of course, I was a church musician and came here and had just planned on finishing, maybe going out and do a couple songwriter nights. And in church, things kind of went weird for me. I'd been a worship minister, of course, since I was 17 years old, and it's all I had known. And there were some things going on in a church that we were part of. And I thought, I don't know if how if you're in one thing so long, sometimes you just kind of get bored with it, and then you see things that maybe you never saw before. So I stepped out of it and stepped back and took a look at my life and said, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? And it wasn't. So my daughter and I decided that, hey, we're in Nashville. We've never sang outside of church, even though we had planned on it. Since we were here, we never did. And just always so busy, I guess. So there was this little audition coming up for the Bluebird, and we said, well, hey, we wrote now 5 or 6 songs. Let's just put, our information in and send our songs over and see if we get chosen. And believe it or not, we got chosen to play Chick Singers Night in April 2011. And we had never played anywhere outside of church before, so we were actually very shocked and pleased. And since then, our plan is just to give it everything we've got, and some crazy doors have just opened for us, and we don't know how it happened. We were found by The Voice online. We put our first little video out there for $500. Scraped every penny we had and just put it out there. It was actually the first song Crystal ever wrote, and it was seen by talent scouts for The Voice. And within a few months of that, we maybe had performed on stage 5 or 6 times, just mostly songwriters nights, and 2 times with a band ever. And here we are going out to LA and recording and doing a blind audition for The Voice.
Oh, did you find what you expected when you moved to Nashville? Or is the town what you expected it to be?
Nashville is actually more than I expected it to be. I expected, I guess I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect songwriters would be so kind to each other, so supportive of each other. And I found like, it feels like a family of people where I belong. maybe for the first time in my life, I've always felt like the outsider. No one understood me, and I think a lot of musicians can get that. But when you move to Nashville, there's so many people that are writers and singers and performers. It's like you kind of find people that are like you, and it's been awesome for me. And just the way they all, everyone just seems to come together to help each other. It's been amazing. The music scene in Ohio is very small, very limited in southeastern Ohio, but they do have their own sound, and it's Appalachia area, and so it's got that Appalachia kind of bluegrassy mixed with rock, really cool sound, and actually you'll hear it in some of our music. But it's outrageous here in Nashville because of the music scene is so diverse. Back home it's almost just like this one sound and you're accepted, and pretty much anything outside of that box is, I was what's so funny is me and my daughter are, of course, white girls, singing in church, and most people, when I say we sang gospel music, assume that it's like a southern gospel music, but that's not the gospel we were singing. We were singing black gospel music in a white church and a town of all white people, and really soulful kind of feeling music, and so yeah, but it's a lot different here. We, back home we weren't really accepted that much, but here it's like so much diversity that people just welcome you in and accept you how you are.
Besides Nashville being a mecca of music, what's other things in this town that you guys have found that's really nice, that you really enjoy?
God, I don't do anything else. That's horrible. I am a workaholic, huh?
That's okay.
Nashville is, besides the music in Nashville, I would say I'm a very country kind of person, and I love to go out and just go to the range and shoot my gun and do things like that, and I think that's what we are here in this town. It's no matter where you're from, it seems like you may not shoot a gun or go out fishing on the weekends, but it seems like we're all pretty country, and by that I mean we're all laid back here in this town, and just that kind of thing, I guess.
What would you tell other people who want to move to Nashville to be a songwriter? What advice would you give them if they wanted to move here?
The advice I would give to someone who wanted to move to Nashville would be to get with other songwriters. I think that's how I've learned the most. I got with some great people like Bridget Tatum. She wrote Jason Aldean's She's Country, and I couldn't hardly believe that I got to write with her the first time. I was incredibly nervous to walk into a room with Bridget and sit down and write, but she is the most kindest person you'll ever meet. And but from them I learned, as you sit with other people, it kind of expands your songwriting. Really taught me a lot about songwriting and how to have fun. Whenever I would sit down to write a song, for me in the beginning it was like laborious. I would sit there and try to put a song together and just be real serious about it, but I learned songwriting can be fun, man. You can sit and just have a blast with it. So I guess that would be the first thing I would say. Second thing I would say is be prepared to work your hind end off. Man, if you're going to do anything in songwriting, it's a process of learning, and you've got to give it all you have. Be prepared to put your soul and your heart into it.
Are you happy you moved here?
Heck yes, I am. I am dang happy we moved to Nashville. I really am. All my life, when I was a little girl, I used to dance around in my bedroom, and I had this mirror in there that sat on the floor. We lived in this old mobile home, and honestly, it was a 1967 single-wide trailer, and there was holes in the floor, and my mom would put rugs over these holes in the floor when people come over. It was so embarrassing. We were so poor. But in my bedroom back there, I had all these big, huge aspirations of, one day I'm going to be a singer. And I really would dance around with my hairbrush and sing and look in the mirror. And in my mind, I can still see this stadium of just huge amounts of people everywhere, and I was performing. But back then, I was a little shy girl. If I'd walk in a room, my face would turn red, and I was embarrassed people would just even look to see who came in the door, And God, I forgot your question again.
That's okay. Uh, So you've come out of your shell.
Yeah.
now.
So I being here, being a musician, you have to come out of your shell. You know, I remember singing the very first song I ever sang was at church, of course, with the soundtrack and my mic doing this and my knees knocking and everything in me was shaking. But man, my life has changed since that very first song. You know, I love when I can get on a stage and sing a song like one we wrote called Forward and look out. Forward is a song about life is going to knock you down. Sometimes life takes everything from you. It seems like you have nothing left. But as long as you're breathing, you just keep going. I mean, you might fail, you might fall on your face, but that's what life is about. It doesn't always stay down. You got to just keep moving forward. And man, I've been hit hard in my life. But when we sing a song like that to an audience that we wrote, and it really came from our heart, and that, you know, have dreams, people are going to look at you and say no, but keep going. And you look out, and as you're singing that song, people, we've even had grown men. You expect a woman to cry, but grown men sitting out there in the audience crying, and that's when you think, God, this is what I was born for. You know, if I can touch somebody's life like this, I know this is what I was born for. And that's what songwriting, and to me, entertainment is about.
How successful have you been in Nashville? Tell us about some of the. And you guys have done a lot of stuff.
We have. You know, we have had people look at us and say, man, you guys have really come a long way, and we really have. In 2 years, we have gone from, like I said, our very first show, which was at the Bluebird Cafe, to singing on national television 5 times in the last year. We just released our single on the Today Show in May. And as our independent single, we're an independent band. And that was all fan initiated. That was crazy. Within 8 days, over 1,000 people came together and said, we want 2 Steel Girls on the Today Show. We've been on The Voice. They found us online. It was crazy, you know. Blake Shelton turned around for us when I thought we sounded like goats, you know. We were up there performing, and like I said, we had only performed with a band maybe twice ever, and to get up there and to have someone like Blake Shelton and CeeLo Green turn around and want to take you under their wing and mentor you, it's crazy. The success that we've had, man, but we're huge dreamers, so we've kind of believed this. I've kind of believed it all my life it was going to happen. I always thought it would happen way before now. I'm getting so old. But me and my daughter started singing together, and I guess I kind of just let my dreams go on the backside. But since we've begun doing it, it's been incredible. It seems like so many doors have opened so quickly for us, and sometimes it happens that way, you know, for people, and then other times people will give their whole life to see some kind of success. But we've just really been, I guess, really blessed.
Tell me about what your impressions of the songwriting community is, and the networking and stuff that goes on with the songwriters in Nashville.
What my opinion of it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love the songwriter community. To me, it is, like I said, like home. It's like a place where I fit. Very friendly people, very supportive community. You know, some people will find their niche of people that they want to hang out with at a country club or at a church, and I never kind of ever really fit in until I got here. And I just feel like I'm at home with those people. You know, we can walk in a room. What's so fun is my family is one of those families that I'm a actually my kids are a 5th generation musician. And my mom sang, my grandparents sang, and everyone would sit around, you know, with guitars. You put them, if you go back to a family reunion, there might be 100 people, 4 or 5 generations, sitting in a circle and singing, just with guitars, and everybody singing harmony, and that's kind of how it works. But when we come together as a family, of course, we felt at home. But outside of that, never quite people didn't understand why I was so driven musically, you know. I would spend hours a day just singing and writing and playing my piano and my keyboard and all that. But here, it's like finally I found a group of people that are kindred spirits, I guess. We all kind of fit together, and it's been amazing because you can look around the room and there might be someone with a different color skin or long hair and looks like a rocker, and then you've got this country guy over here with cowboy boots. We might all be in the same room together and writing a song that turns into one of the most greatest songs you think you ever wrote with anyone. And that's what's so cool. It's like music here and the community, it just breaks down all those barriers, you know, that society and that people put up. And that's what I love about this community.
If you had to do it over, would you still move to Nashville? Thinking of all the sacrifices that you've put through and the things that you've had to do, would you do it again?
If I had to do it all over and say, would I move to Nashville again and would I pursue my dreams? Man, I tell you what, it's costed me a whole lot. Pursuing my dreams when I left the church cost me every friend I had, honestly. People didn't understand why would I leave ministry and pursue something secular. That was really hard. It's called a sinner, called all kinds of things, you know, and then financially it took its toll on us. Like I said, we bought a house when we moved here. We ended up filing bankruptcy and having to let the house go. The toll of walking away from everything that I thought I was in the church, to something completely different and all new, trying to find all new friends. It was very hard. It took its toll on my family. You know, I was trying to find myself again, I guess. But would I do it all again? Heck, yes. In a minute. I would do it all again in a minute. If you'd asked me that a year ago, before The Voice, I probably would have said, I don't know. Because I was still going through so much. But, yeah, I've really been to hell and back. But you know what? It's the best thing I've ever done with my life. And I'll be able to look back one day and say, hey, I gave it everything I had. To me, that's what it's about, man. You're going to be a dreamer. You just got to dream big. And but dreaming big requires great sacrifice. Sacrifices that you don't think you'll ever have to make sometimes. Decisions you don't know that you'll ever have to make. And it hurts a lot of times. You get a lot of rejection. It's not all people accepting you, and because that doesn't happen. But you know what? It's worth it. When you come out on the end and you have this great song, and like I said, you can look at the audience and go, oh my God, that man out there, that woman out there really touched their life. And to me, it's like, God, yeah, that's where I get my high. That's when I get on the stage and I see people that kind of walk in and you can tell they're down, and you sing some stupid song and they just start smiling and tapping their feet, and you've made their day. You know, they're enjoying their stuff. They forgot about, heck, their electric's off at the house, you know, whatever. And they don't know where their next meal is going to come from, because right now they're just thinking about that song and they're having a great time. You know, and yeah, I would do it all again for that. Just for even that 5 minutes, I would do it again for that, because it makes me feel like I was born for a reason.
Is there anything that I haven't covered that you'd like to say to young aspiring songwriters?
For me, if I was to speak to a young aspiring songwriter again, I would say, you know, dream big. Plan on dreaming that you're going to write the best song in the world. That sounds crazy, but dream big. Don't go for mediocre. Go for it. Give it your best shot. Take criticism well, and don't beat yourself up too much. Believe in yourself. But another thing is that I would say to people that are getting older, a lot of times, you know, Nashville or whoever wants to tell you, well, you know, you just go sit down now. You're hitting 30 or you're hitting 40 or you're hitting 50. You know, it's over for you. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I don't know who made those rules, but people at 60, 70 years old still have dreams. I saw a man that wrote, I think he was 80 years old, something like that. His wife died and they had been married for years, and he wrote this song. He had never wrote a song ever, and there was this video of him. He wrote a song. Someone picked it up and actually recorded it, and it was the most beautiful thing. And here he was with this dream at age 80, I think, or 90, and it's touched a whole lot of people. The video went viral, the song went viral. So there is not an age limit to this thing. You know, I remember my mom calling me when she turned 50 years old, and she was crying when I answered the phone. I said, "What is wrong with you?" I thought someone had died. What is wrong with you? Oh my gosh, she says. She's crying, and I could barely understand her, but what I got out of it was, I'm 50 years old, and I have never done anything with my life. And it's over. That's it. And I started crying because I thought, this is my mom. You know, this is like the best moment I have ever known. And I looked back at her and I said, "Mom, for one thing, you've been the best mom of any mother I know. You've been so kind and loving and supporting to your children. But why do you think your life is over? Now you've got us all raised. Your life has just begun. Now you can go after your dreams. You can do whatever you want. Well, you know, society's not going to accept me as a singer now. Maybe they won't. But you know what? Go do karaoke on the weekends. You know, go do something that fulfills you. Who cares what the world thinks? It's about you living out your dreams, and just go for it." And my mom is, and she's a much happier person because she's out there doing what makes her happy. So it's never over with.
That's good. You and Crystal both talked about nerves a lot. You know, you know, in front of millions of people singing. How do you deal with getting the nerves down to where you can get out and function? Because I know a lot of songwriters, getting up in front of people and singing is totally different than writing songs.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So how do you deal with the nerves?
Me and Crystal both, we still are new to this. I mean, we've only been doing this about 2 years, and dealing with the nerves is still a big issue for me. I'm already worrying about a show we have next week and trying to tell myself, don't get nervous, because I know a lot of very important people are coming to that show. And so I'm already telling myself, don't get nervous. We just try to calm each other down and go out there and think about the people. I mean, not think about the people who are coming to watch us, but think about those people who have come into that show that day, and just focus on them and give them a good show. Give them a good time. When I get my focus off of me and my performance or my notes or, oh my God, and I take it off of me and I put it on the people, and I say, I'm going to give them a good show, and I'm just going to enjoy myself. That's when my nerves go away. You know, that's when I become comfortable. So don't think about yourself. You become a horrible performer if it's all about, oh my God, you know, listen, you know, I'm going to make a bad note here, or I'm worrying about it. Then you're not a good performer. So you got to focus on those people, and you got to give them what they came there to do. They came there to have a good time. They came to laugh. They came to forget the day, their year. They came to enjoy themselves. And so I think when I get on the stage and I start focusing right, that's when I get rid of the nerves. That's what you got to do.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.